Hi guys! Today we're gonna paint this Hershey's Kiss, and I've specifically put a lot of attention on the edge work, so in the video you'll hear me talk about that as well a bit. The picture itself is available for you to paint too. It's over on my Instagram channel under the Food Paint Challenge, and should you like to join in and enjoy this video, please consider hitting that like button, to leave a comment, and to subscribe. It's highly appreciated. Now, let's dive right in. What I have on my palette are the following colors. A little bit of ultramarine blue, phthalo green, raw umber, alizarin crimson, permanent violet, some yellow ochre, and a lot of white. Now, what I'd like to do first is to get started with getting some general shapes in. Just to get a bit of the dark shapes in there, and I'm doing that very lightly. Actually, I think I might mix some red color with that raw umber. Get a bit darker value. Also adding some of the phthalo green to darken it a bit more. What we can do now with this, because I think it's a bit too brownish, just wipe it off a bit. That is okay. It's all a journey. We'll paint over it later on again. But that's better already. Now, edges. On the picture we see here that there's not really a sharp edge, so I want that also on my painting. I want to have this as kind of a lost edge, where the darkest parts are. Well, that's all for later. So, mixing some of that pink with my red. And just have a look what that does. I think for this shadowy area that works quite okay. Just putting down all these small strokes and cleaning my brush on the go as well. Because you sometimes pick up some colors from the background which you do not want in there, because it will make it more muddy. I do see some parts I want to have a bit darker. So here, see, I put that darker mixture again in the shadow area. And I like to work with these flat brushes, because they already give kind of a bit of texture to when you're painting. See what it does. Oh yeah, I like that. Funny thing is, it kind of looks blue even, but there's no blue in this at all. Reflected light in there. And just wobbling it around to create the illusion of the foil. Now over here it's more greenish, so what I'll do, I'll take some of that background color. Just let it scooch in there. Because I think it's a bit too dominant, I'll just blend it ever so slightly here with the color that's already on. Having fun. That's what it's about, experimenting. Keep telling that. That's a bit of a soft edge, as you can see. At least in my painting it is. Now let's continue a bit on this wrapper there, which is actually a very thin, almost see-through area. So I'm taking a light color here, but I don't want it too prominent. So I think actually if we can see a bit through there, it is still fine. Also, that helps with seeing the text. And we want to get a bit of idea that this is wrapping paper. So let's try to make this a little bit of a more softer edge. And by doing this, I incorporate a little bit of the background color into the object color. So it seems like it's a bit more rounded. And then we have some of those wrinkles in the foil going through, so that adds a bit of that foil feeling. And from the other side, I'm gonna do that a bit with that green background color, but I want it a little bit less bright on there, so I'm just smudging it out just a little bit. I do like it if I can get a bit of that lost edge in there. And to enhance it, I make this also a little bit darker. You'll also see some of these highlights here. Again, that foil reflecting in its own peculiar way. Now here, I'm doing quite thickly because those are very dark parts. This is still my red mixture, huh? The alizarin crimson one with some phthalo green in it. But I need to do that pretty thickly because it's a very transparent mixture. Now, in the reference picture, there's also like a Kisses label going a little bit like this. But I think I will leave that out because it's too much detail. Too much for the eye. Too difficult to read, I reckon. And that chocolate should be slightly shiny. I'm just going to build that up a bit here. Going up and down and then sideways. That's a nice way for gradations a bit. It's also a bit lighter, huh? Because the light is coming from this way. Just playing around a bit, huh? Let's go over this. Make it a bit more smooth. And actually the shadow starts pretty far here. And goes then like that. Not too strong of an edge. Rather transitional. And then there we have this very dark part. Now the shape still looks a bit awkward. So let's try to round that a bit without removing the full lost edge. I think that will do the trick. Shine, which isn't very bright because it's not a very shiny material per se. This part of the chocolate is very dark because it's in the shadow. This is actually not black what I'm using here. It's again a mixture of the red, the blue, and the green in this case. I really want that area to be very dark. Blending it slightly with the background. I like to make that foil a little bit more profound. I want it to blend here a bit with that, in the darkest area with the chocolate, so you have that lost edge effect again. Don't want it to be too dominant. I think it worked pretty well. Play around in this area a bit, see what we can get. Is it light? It's pretty light, but probably not light enough. I do think that might be a nice color for the highlights though. The highlights on the foil, like there. Trying to use them scarcely and not overdoing it. Overdoing it like I just did. Yep. Always happens. Just go over it again. But just get some attention over there and to get a feeling for that shape. And here actually it's pretty sharp. Light. So that's gonna be like in the center of the piece. Just a little bit off the center actually, but I do think that's an interesting point to drag the viewer's attention to. Now back here we also have some of that light part. Does add for a nice contrast, and I do recommend highly playing around a bit with your palette knife if you can. But then also a side note, try not to overdo it, at least if you're highlighting stuffs. Because also there is something you can easily overdue. Just making this edge softer. There. With a tip of white, put it gently on there. Now what we can do is slightly blend it with the background. Give it a bit of a glow. As you can see. Not too much, just a little bit. Here I want it a little bit more prominent, that we have some edge work going on there. And that it's foil. So I'm just reworking the shapes a bit here, which I made on earlier with my palette knife. Simply by scratching out in the paint. Thank you for watching. A like and subscribe is appreciated. And if you're looking for more inspiration, you can check the video up there. Have fun!